Today, we have the pleasure of sitting down with a versatile author who has 8 novels underneath their belt. They've proven to be a prolific storyteller in the indie author realm. Their book series, Senses of Love, explores the depths of romance through the lens of the 5 senses, offering a unique perspective on love. Beyond writing, our guest is also an attorney and a musician, showcasing their multifaceted creativity. Today, we'll talk about their writing journey and their novel, The Touch of Love, a dual timeline love story set against the backdrop of World War II Poland and modern day America. Please welcome to the show, Kyle Shoop.
Brittany, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you for being here. Now, okay, so how did you come up with writing a novel based on these senses?
Um, Initially it wasn't going to be 5 books. Initially I had the story idea for the first one in the series, which is The Sound of Love. And about halfway through, I hadn't come up with a title yet for it. That book has a main character that's a musician. And I had kind of just floated the idea. One of the titles, some of the titles were not very good, but the one that just kind of kept sticking with me was The Sound of Love. But about halfway through, I was like, on one hand, I need to come up with a title. On the other hand, I already know what the next book's going to be about. And it occurred to me that one focused on painting, on a very talented painter. And so it occurred to me that it was just a natural fit. And so that's what I went with. And about halfway through writing each of the novels, the idea for the next one would start to kind of ruminate, manifest and stuff. And it just fit seamlessly with what I was looking to do there. So,
Well, you have obviously other talents that I can see your beautiful guitars in the background, and you're an attorney. How do you balance that? How do you write such good novels and then also be having full-time other jobs?
thank you for asking, because you're assuming that I do balance. My wife would probably say, Kyle, you need to do better at balance. And she would probably be right. Oftentimes I end up writing long into the night or early into the morning. It's, yes, I'm an attorney and I have a day job, but writing to me is it is a job. But sometimes I just don't want to leave that job and I just keep writing and writing. So I sometimes think I have a tough time balancing, and my kids would agree too. But here's the honest answer is because I remember in my very first novel came out, which isn't in the Love series. It's a different trilogy. It's a fantasy series. I remember when that one came out, my boss at work said, "So are you going to quit?" And the idea never left me, because anybody who's creative, I should only speak for myself. It's a yin to a yang. You know what I mean? Like I need something to do during the day that, when I have other time, I'm wanting to retreat into creativity, whether it's through music or writing novels. So, yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I will wake up at
Well,
what?
isn't it also just about priorities too? I mean, like,
Yes. What's important to you?
yeah, somebody wants to be an awesome marathon runner. I mean, that's going to become their priority, right? I mean, so
Well, my dad always said I got tunnel vision when I wanted something. He's like, just do that tunnel vision thing that you do and you'll get whatever you want. I'm like, okay.
what
But
do you
I
like
think
when you're in that tunnel? What do you like?
I become pretty obsessive with things. I love my project Zarlequan that I created, all about, supporting indie authors. I will be up at 2 in the morning, sitting there like making graphics and writing different scripts. Like, oh, how can I share with people what I'm doing? Like, this is so important. And I will, like last night, I woke up at 2 and I worked until about 6, and then I took a little nap. And I got up again and started, my
Okay,
husband's like, what are
do
you
you ever find
doing?
yourself also like talking to someone, whether it's family or friends or whoever, about what you're charged with, what's in that tunnel for you, and at the end they're just like, what?
Like, what are you talking?
But
I
it
get
made
two
so much
things. Like,
sense to you on a
yeah,
creative level.
yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh. And like they're like,
Yeah,
okay. Or they look at you like you're crazy. Like,
yeah.
um, All right, then. You okay? Why don't you calm down?
Yes. But I think being creative takes a certain amount of crazy, right? In a
That's so
good
funny.
way.
I've been saying that. I think you're totally right because I look at
Yeah.
like I was talking about Sinead O'Connor.
Yeah.
Like she was very creative and she did some good music and whatnot. But
Yeah.
it also she was very tortured, mental health with mental health. I don't think maybe it doesn't have to be that far, but I do notice
Yeah.
there is a trend. People that do have some kind of crazy, like that, they tend to be very creative.
Yeah.
My dad's super creative. He's still a musician to this day. He's
Oh,
still playing in bands and
what's he
he
play?
does his own music. He was a bass player, but he plays guitar as well, and he's the
Okay.
vocalist. Yeah,
Yeah, that's really cool. I think
yeah,
yeah, it's got to take thinking outside the box, and I think when you do that, it appears as crazy to other people almost, but not
yeah.
like a mad scientist way. It just you got to understand your own process to creating something, and to somebody not involved in that process, it can look very unusual. But it's
Yes.
and it's always worth the ride for me. You bring up a good point though about like needing to balance, like with the mental health thing. Like I'll
Mhm.
be honest, I think the first couple books that I wrote, I didn't quite have that down. Whereas with a good chunk of the middle books I've written, I did a way better job being able to balance, okay, it's writing, and then at the end of that, I put that down and go back to life. But I'm going to tell you with the most recent one that you mentioned, The Touch of Love, that dual timeline World War II novel, I did a really, really bad job of balancing. A really bad job of balancing. Like it's so much so that when I was done writing that novel, honestly, I got really depressed because I
Oh.
loved it. It was such a like it was always the novel I wanted to write.
Mhm.
That when it ended, I was sad I was done with it.
Mm.
And I miss those
Relief.
characters and I miss that world. And I don't know, have you ever had something like that happen?
Absolutely. I will start to tear up because I'm like,
Yeah.
no, okay, I have to write another one. It can't be over.
Yeah, no, that you're right, actually. That's a very strong thing of sometimes, I don't know about you, but I get asked, why do you write? And to me, the answer is, why wouldn't I write? And when I'm done with something, I might take a little bit of time for a breather, but then it's like I'm energized and I want to
Yeah.
do something else,
I think it becomes the relaxation too at the same time. Yes, I need a
Yeah,
breather and I need to stop for a minute, but at the same time, this makes me feel so good. Like I'm like,
yeah,
in that world. Yeah, it's I think it's a completely different place to be. I don't know. I guess we look a little crazy to people, but can you tell okay, so you also wrote a fantasy trilogy. Was
yeah.
that before or after the love
Yeah, thanks for
sense?
asking. So my first three novels were, yeah, that fantasy trilogy. It's middle grade fantasy.
Okay.
So like I've gone to, fourth, fifth, sixth graders up to high school, and then adults will read it too, kind of like that Percy Jackson, Harry Potter
Yeah.
age group, where just adults and kids will all read it together. And I love that. And that was my first series. It's called the Asa Bishop Trilogy, which is kind of an unusual name. So a lot of people don't get spelled right. It's ACEA. And that's an actual trilogy where you got to read them in order, right? As opposed to my romance series, that Love Senses of Love series, that you can read in any order. They're all standalone novels, right?
Okay.
But yeah, that first one, and what's cool is as my kids have gotten older, I've read that whole trilogy to each of my kids. And I tell you, I love it. Just as I go back and read, and maybe it's because I'm getting old, I forget like details of what happens in the novels. And I'm kind of with them. And the best feeling in the world is I'll reach the end of a chapter and it's time for bed and for my kid. And they go, "Oh, do we have to stop?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm humoring myself. Maybe they really just don't want to go to bed. But it's still the best feeling in the world when my own kids reading my novels, they like, or maybe we're a couple chapters, further than and they remember something from a couple chapters previously, and I'm just like, this
Mhm.
is so cool. For as many reviews that are good and everything, I really appreciate that, but there's just something about like my own kids reading it,
Mhm.
just hard to beat. So
I
yeah.
absolutely understand that. That's funny. My youngest daughter is her name is Zendella,
Mm,
and I actually came up with that name like 5 years ago, and
mhm.
I started writing the book before I ever was ever thinking of having her.
Yeah,
But I actually finished it after she was born and threw it up on Amazon, mostly so that my own family could read it, and my kids do. They will grab that book too because we always read at night, and so
yeah,
they'll grab that book, and I'm like, no. Or my daughter,
right.
she's in high school, my oldest one, she's in high school, and her friends ask for the book. They're like, oh, I need that. I haven't got the book yet. I read it before, but and I'm like,
It's
it's
the
so sweet.
it's the best. And don't get me wrong, s- selling books, we're doing it to strangers, people I don't know, being at a convention, having somebody I don't know come up and shake hand, ask for the autograph, and where's your next one? That's amazing and more than I ever hoped for or expected. Um, but it's hard to beat when your kid likes something.
Yeah. That's really when we can impress them, honestly, that
Yes.
we've done a good job.
You know what? Maybe that's it. Maybe it's because they are my biggest critic,
Yeah.
right? Like they point out all my flaws during the day and things I forget. And then finally there's something I did that lands with them that they like. Maybe that's it. I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, kids are amazing. I keep telling my husband I would have had 20, but I don't think my body would have kept up with that. But yeah, kind
Yeah.
of love my kids. A little obsessed with them. But yeah. So, you know, when you started the book of love, the book, love series, book series, Senses of Love. Sorry. Okay, got it. Were
By the
you
way, real
thinking?
quick, I recognize it does not roll off the tongue, sense of love. I'm not into marketing. I'm a writer. There's got to be another way, but I just haven't come up with it. But I think it encapsulates what the series is about, right? Each book
It does.
on a
Yeah.
different human sense and a different love story told through that lens. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
But were you thinking of your wife? Like, how did this start off? Like, how did you
Yeah.
like, I need to write this book on, what was the first one? The first
The
one was
sound of love. Yeah,
Sounds. Okay.
sound of love.
I mean, was it a love story with, I don't know, with music because you're,
Yeah,
a
exactly.
guitarist?
I'll tell you how it started if you want. I mean, I write novels, but I'll make this a really short story for you. First
Okay.
off, let me kind of backtrack and answer one thing. I try not to have my novels be autobiographical, right? I want them to be their own stories. With that said, there's one novel I wrote that kind of parallels something that meant a lot to me, but it's a fictional, um, it's a whole different story than what happened to me. But like, um, with that said, I try and have them be very different stories. Um, yeah. And so, okay. So to answer your question, The Sound of Love actually started. Um, I was traveling for work to Portland, and it was cold. I forget if it was like January or February, and I was leaving a restaurant for dinner, and I was walking back to my hotel. And at that time, my son was like 4 or 5 years old. And growing up in Seattle, we had talked about that. We're both kind of yeah haven't lived in Seattle. I saw a lot of homeless people. But as I was walking back this night in Portland, I crossed um, a a street corner and I saw a man who was laying, and I forget the time, maybe it was like 10 o'clock or something at night, and he had a child laying fast asleep in his lap, and it was cold out, and that struck a chord with me because the boy looked about as old as my son was at that time, and for as many homeless people I had seen, I don't think I had ever really noticed or seen a homeless child until then.
Mm.
So I stopped and I talked to the man for just a couple brief moments. And I asked him, do you guys sleep out here every night? And he looked me in the eye and he said, well, we try not to. And that was a line that made it into The Sound of Love. But the opening of that book is a woman who's very accomplished. She's a professional, crosses paths with a homeless guy that she knew growing up in an orphanage, and sees him on the street corner with the kid. And it was very much based off that interaction I had that just stuck with me. And the idea that stuck with me was, here I am on the same street corner as a homeless man. I'm there for work. I'm a professional. And he's homeless. What is the difference between where we're at? Is it luck? Was it choices? I have no idea. But that stuck with me, and eventually became the spark to ignite, a story. And in my novel, The Sound of Love, that homeless man he's a musician who came on some really hard times. He'd been married in the past. I don't want to give much else away, but he knew the woman, and the woman brought him in. And it's the story of what happens from them, not just from that moment after the street corner, but there's flashbacks of them growing up in an orphanage and trying to make it out of there, a very difficult circumstance. I love it. It's a beautiful story. I'm talking a lot, and I'm sorry. There was one other aspect to that question you had, which was me incorporating my music into that. So if you're willing, I'd mention that too. I did not set off to write him as a musician because I write music. I don't really remember why that came about. Maybe it's just something that's just familiar with. But it got to the point in writing the novel where a lot of novels that have musicians will have lyrics in them, right? Made up songs. I mean, even The Hobbit does. I don't know if you remember, but the dwarves have a melody, a song that they sing, and it's a ton of lyrics, right? And until the movies came out, you didn't know what those sounded like, right? Well, I decided at some point, okay, I got to write lyrics for my character John, his songs. Oh shoot, that means I got to write some songs. And then it just occurred to me, I'd been writing and recording music as a hobby. That's for at that point, 10, 15 years or something. And I went back and looked at all the songs I'd written, and I had a bunch already, some of them written 10 or 15 years earlier, that just fit the story perfectly almost. And so what I ended up doing was taking my recordings, putting them online on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Tunes, whatever. And if you get the ebook, there's hyperlinks you can click and go listen to the actual song. So instead of just reading the lyrics, you can actually go listen to the songs. So
I love that. That is awesome. That's funny that you say that, because I am still writing this other book called it's The Gnosis of Zarlequan, and so it's this big fantasy novel. And I started writing it, and then suddenly I got inspired to write all these songs that go with it, and I made part of an album with all these songs. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, what kind of book has music to it? And that is so funny that you did that.
What have you ever written songs before? Or is that, I mean, your dad plays and stuff.
Yeah, I
you?
grew up with music because he's been in bands since I can remember. Yeah. And so I wrote songs as a kid, and I used to be in bands as a kid. I was in bands in my 30s and stuff. I haven't done it for a while, but so yeah, I've been writing songs, but I don't play an instrument. So I use online, you can actually, they have the drum set, and so you can touch screen or hit the buttons to make beats and do this. So I use all this stuff, and I'm I figure it out. I wouldn't say my stuff is great, but I'm inspired. That's what I would tell people.
Well, yeah, it's interesting when creativity becomes part of your natural life, the different ways that manifests, you've never written songs before, and now it's finding its way out through that. But also, in a day job or something, do you think outside of the box more, or, just kind of, when raising a kid or parenting or whatever it is you do, how that creativity manifests instead of just going through life another day at a time, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, an
absolutely.
interesting thing, but
Can you tell everyone where we can find your books and where are you online that we can find you too?
yeah. Yeah, thanks for asking. So all of my novels are on Amazon. I find out a lot of people misspell my last name. I don't know why. Maybe that's a Utah thing. I'm in Utah, but so yeah, just look for Kyle Shoop, Shoop. All my novels are on there. I also am at kyleshoop.com. Out of all the social, I'll be honest, I'm most active on Instagram, and that's writer Kyle. And there's a Facebook page as well. That's author Kyle Shoop. I really should have had the same like handle for all of these, right?
We'll put the links in the description so it won't
Yeah,
matter.
there we go. Oh, I will say that if somebody actually wants to listen to some of the songs, like that book soundtrack,
Mhm.
um, so in the Sound of Love, the main character that's a musician, he has a band name, right? I don't know if you've ever heard that, like musicians that are singer-songwriters, but they really go by like a moniker band name. And so that name he goes by is Guy plus guitar, just the plus sign, Guy plus guitar. And
Mhm.
so that's what I put that soundtrack to that book as on Spotify and Apple Music and YouTube and all those. It's the artist name is Guy plus guitar. And then just like the name of the book is The Sound of Love, this the soundtrack online is The Soundtrack of Love. So
Oh, cute. Okay.
right, The Sound of Love, the
Yeah.
soundtrack of love. But yeah, all my novels, whether it's the fantasy series, or the Senses of Love series, again, they're each standalone. And the most recent one, which is the last of the five senses, is The Touch of Love. All those are on Amazon as well. So
Nice. Awesome. And again, we'll put out the links in the description so that it's super easy to find. And when on the YouTube video, we will link to your video there as well at the end of this
oh,
one.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So then we can share in the love. Thank you so much for being here and sharing all of this. I had a good time talking to you.
Can I ask you one question though?
Okay.
Because I feel like I talk about myself quite a bit. I love hearing what other people are working on. So is there something you're working on that you can share or tease or talk about?
So I'm actually really excited about this project I came up with. I'm calling it Film Fusion Unite the Vision.
Okay.
And so I want to play at movie making. So I've been doing little things like I made like a video for my music, a
Yeah.
music video for a song that I did. And so I've been playing, I'll do commercials and like do funny little things. My son and I have written this little funny skit together. We're going to record it. I'm still actually getting costumes and stuff. So I'm going to
Oh,
have fun with that. But Film Fusion is you take 10 minutes and you can have a team or an individual, up to 5 people can be a team, or so 9 teams, and each team does 10 minutes of a video. And our script are they're standalone like shorts, but then when we put them all together, it is 90 minutes of a full length feature film that actually all goes together.
oh. So you're giving them the script in 10-minute lengths.
No, they have to. Okay, so they're writing
Oh,
their
they
own
write
script.
their own.
So here's the thing: is
Oh,
like, okay, so I start off like in the old world, like where there's a war going on, right? And I'm like
okay.
all in the mud, and like we're fighting and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so then it can go anywhere where suddenly you're in outer space. So you have to figure out a transition that you would suddenly be in outer space, and now you're in
I
the
see.
future in outer space and on spaceships, or whatever, or you go back,
Do they see
and
where the last script ended?
yes, we will.
They
We
see
all
the
see
whole
this,
script?
like we can all see the whole script, so we can all work
Okay.
together on doing that. So it's a group on Facebook that I built. And so yes,
Oh,
you are, I'm still building it right now. I'm actually still trying to get participants, people to do it. I have one guy in Italy that wants to do 10 minutes, and so we're talking about dubbing his so it's in English, but then like maybe
yeah.
in Italian too. So I don't speak
Okay,
Italian, but
so when I take my family on car trips places, which my
Mhm.
kids would say is too much. But anyways, we will play the game where somebody starts with a story and they give a sentence or two, and then
Mhm.
you go around and you build on that, and
Yes.
going on. You're kind of doing that, but with
But
a
video, but like
script
movie.
and movie.
Yes.
That's next level. Good luck. That's
Yeah.
cool.
I
That's
know.
interesting.
Thank you. I hope it works out
Let
because
me
I'm
know when it's
excited about
out,
it.
whether it's in a month or 10 years. I don't know,
Oh, I'm
but
like, it
when
might
it's
be a
out, let
minute.
me know. I'd love to see that and see where it went. That's cool.
Yeah, well, add me if you're on Facebook, because I'm on Instagram too, but add me and you can, or follow Zarlequan too. I'll put it
I
all
was
up
gonna
in all
say,
those places.
what's your um Zarlequan?
Yeah.
Okay. All
I
right.
don't know if you've sent me all your links yet, but if you haven't, send me all the links that you want me to share, and then what is that called? Headshot.
I'll send you a full body shot if you'd like. No, I'm just kidding. That was funny. Not everything lands. Yeah, I'll send you a headshot. Oh, there you are, Zarlequan. Awesome.
Yes. I built the website too. I play with that. I did the whole thing. That's all me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
I make all the graphics. I do everything. I'm the everybody. I
Right?
am all of it.
I'm with you.
Yeah. I have to run. I have school
Okay.
conferences that I have to get to now.
Good luck. Hey, Brittany, thank you so much. This was fun to talk. If you ever need to reach out or anything, feel free.
Yeah, if you write anything else, come back and come back on. But yeah, stay in touch. I enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, good
Yeah.
luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good
Bye.
day. Bye.